Hey everyone, this is Dave with Unfiltered. First of all, I want to thank our sponsors, Relive Medical and Carol Semple Productions, and you can check out their information below.
Take two.
Hey guys, this is Unfiltered with David and Carol. Today we've got Eileen Thomas slash Ninjaneer Princess. I did it.
Yeah, you did. Engineer Princess.
I'm sure a lot of you know Eileen already, but Eileen is an IFBB fitness pro. She's been doing this a long time. Her first show was back in 2009. Got her pro card in 2012. She also works in IT. She is a strategic analyst analyst.
IT consultant.
Strategic IT consultant.
We'll get it between the three of us.
Yeah.
And you should know.
I even practiced.
My title's pretty long. It's fine. It's all right.
So today what we want to talk about is the importance of getting blood work, getting labs done, but not only that, but making sure you're getting the right labs. Unfortunately, I think a lot of times what we see with our primary care physicians and some of our doctors is, and it's not totally, I don't want to say it's totally on them and their fault, because the insurance companies dictate a lot of what they can do and what they can't do, but it seems like they're kind of shortcutting some of the labs. Eileen is a perfect example of a lot of that's happened. She has, another thing with her is, you don't have any excuses. After hearing a lot of the stuff that she's gone through and what she's overcome, she's going to compete again this year. Really, you don't have any excuse to be healthier, to work on your goals as far as health, wellness, the way you want your body to look. Those are all important things, and all things that you can accomplish, even if you're going through medical conditions and health problems,
Or personal
problems. All those things are you can overcome them. So we wanted to definitely bring Eileen, let her kind of share her story with us. A lot of you may already know her story if you follow her on Instagram. She's doing a great series and a service on informing people about mercury poisoning, heavy metals, autoimmune diseases, different things like that, because she suffered from all of it.
So, Eileen, my question is, how long ago did all of this start, and then how did you figure out what was going on? Because I'm sure there was a process, and this is why this is so important, is how you figured out what was going on. So how long ago did this start, and then how did you figure out what was happening?
Yeah, so actually 2009... No, it was 2008. I got really sick. I used to play a lot of recreational sports. And all of a sudden one day I couldn't stand. My stomach hurt so bad, I was just hurled over, went to the ER. They found internal bleeding, and nobody could figure out why. They were like, well, did you get hit really hard? And I was like, no, nothing. And so that went on for about 6 months, and endless tests. They finally found out I had something called bile reflux disease, which isn't acid reflux disease, it's bile reflux disease. So bile went the wrong direction in my body and ate through my stomach lining and caused internal bleeding.
Wow.
So I had to stop eating all fats, which is not healthy, I don't recommend it, but I had to do it in order to get that under control. So that's actually how I got into bodybuilding, because I was on a strict bodybuilding diet without really knowing anything about bodybuilding. And so I actually went to the 2008, it was 2008 show, and Camila Rodriguez had won the show, and I was like, I'm going to do fitness. That's what I'm going to do. So then I started doing it.
Camila started in fitness?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
A lot of people did, didn't they?
Yeah.
She competed several years as a fitness pro.
It was the Rocky Mountain, 2008 is the first time I ever went to a bodybuilding show. The only reason why I was there was because a buddy that I worked out with during work went to the gym, and he was a bodybuilder, and he invited me to the show, and I saw fitness for the first time, and I was like, I'm going to do that, right? So then I actually met Carol shortly after, and she helped me a ton train for fitness.
So let me ask you, do you have a gymnastics background at all?
I do.
Okay.
I started in gymnastics, but I've taken people that have no background whatsoever in gymnastics, dance. Adela Garcia had nothing. No background whatsoever, and she was #1 for
8 years.
Yeah, long time. So anyway, so I've always
2008 you had the
autoimmune.
bile reflux disease.
Yep, and that's an official autoimmune disease. But
did going through the no fat, did that really help? And was
did.
there anything else you had to do?
So I was supposed to be taking 22 pills a day. And that's why I was like, I'm not taking 22 pills a day. This is stupid. That's just masking the problem. So I actually did my own research. And this is like a theme. I did my own research, did a lot of reading, and found that bile is produced when you eat fat. So, not being the smartest person in the world, I took fat out of my diet, including salmon, nuts, any healthy fats. I just stopped eating fats. So then I started becoming skinny fat, and I wanted to add shape to my body, so I started weightlifting, and I was the person that was like, don't lift more than 8 pounds, you'll get huge. That was me. That was totally me.
That's a lot of, the women that are out there listening to this, I get that a lot too, right? Yeah. Is when I tell somebody, listen, you really need to be weight training, it's going to help with bone density, muscle, everything that you're going to need, especially as you get older. A lot of them have that, well, I don't want to get too big.
They always go
it's
there
like,
right away.
Honestly, bodybuilding saved my life in a lot of aspects because I now have 8 diagnosed autoimmune diseases, and that's why I've always been doing blood work. But I wasn't doing the right blood work to catch mercury poisoning. Now, mercury poisoning, I think, is going to become more and more common because what do you see on everybody's menu? Ahi tuna.
Right.
You see poke bowls. You see poke city. There's poke burritos. Like, it's everywhere now, right? And so it's an appetizer, and it's the healthy way to eat because it's lean. There's no fat in it. So I was eating a lot of ahi tuna, orange roughy, sea bass, and salmon. Salmon's okay, though. There's 4 different levels of contaminated fish.
Okay.
And up in, like, the top parts is actually, it depends where you get your tilapia. It depends where you get your swai. Swai's in there, too.
Wow.
So there's a lot of, but the highest content was the ones that are my favorite: orange roughy, sea bass, and ahi tuna. You're supposed to eat them less than once a month. It doesn't matter whether it's raw, cooked, farm raised, anything. It doesn't matter.
So it doesn't matter whether it's wild caught. Does it matter where in the ocean it's caught?
Some are worse than others. Yep. But even like they told me to stay away from mushrooms because mushrooms absorb water, right? And what's in water is mercury poisoning.
Wow.
So like there was a lot of things that I had to get away from. But what was unfortunate was these symptoms started in, what was it? I think it was April of 2017, and I started with just a tingle in the back of my head every time I was eating food. Which is really weird, right? Yeah. Then I got LASIK eye surgery, and my eyes were doing weird stuff, but I thought it was related to LASIK, right? Yeah. And it felt like shards of glass were in my eyes. And then I started shaking bad enough, like I still shake a little bit, but nothing like I was. Before it was like I would hide my hands under the table in meetings because I didn't want people to think I was like a drug addict or like I'm in a professional environment and here I am shaking, can't even hold a marker up to a whiteboard type thing, So it was bad. But the worst was I started getting so lightheaded and dizzy that like I couldn't carry a grocery basket. I had to push a cart in case I was going to pass out in the middle of the store. And I remember sitting in Sprouts one day in the middle of the store just like, I wonder if I should call 911. I'm so dizzy, I can't, like I was short of breath. I went from professional athlete to not functioning in society and being that person where people are like, why is she on the floor? You know what I mean? It was awful. So I actually started reading a book because autoimmune runs in my family. So I started reading Whole 30 was my first one. So I went on a strict AIP diet, which means basically at a high level, no gluten, no dairy, no sugar. Cool. I eliminated that. Then I started eliminating nightshades because that causes inflammatory response. That's like potatoes and bell peppers and any kind of cayenne peppers. Eliminated that. Then I eliminated FODMAPs, which is like anything that ends with a TOL. So I eliminated that, and they're like short chain carbohydrates or something. I don't know. FODMAP actually stands for something that's like this long. It's scientific, I don't know. But anyway, so eliminated everything. I was on less than 10 ingredients because I really truly thought all these symptoms were like related to food or something crazy, right? It wasn't. So unfortunately, I was eating more fish. right? Because I was trying to be healthy, so I was eating more fish. Well, that was just making it compounds worse and worse. Come to find out, I have another autoimmune called, can I use an F-bomb on the... Okay, it's called...
Unfiltered.
It's Unfiltered, all right. It's called the motherfucker gene. It's MTHFR. And it means I can't detox my body myself.
Huh.
So mercury was building up, and I couldn't detox it myself. So fast forward, it's about August time frame. I started reading this book called The Autoimmune Fix. 300 pages. One paragraph says, if you've done everything to eliminate all environmental factors and you still feel sick, get these 3 blood work tests. Well, I've already been seeing him to monitor all my blood work because I've had autoimmune forever. Right. So I was like, all right, cool, here's these 3 panels. Unfortunately, it was during the Florida hurricane in 2017, and all these like special tubes for heavy metal tests comes from Florida, so it took us like a month to get the test done. Yeah. It was just bad timing, but the autoimmune spectrum panel was one of them. So we did that test. I lit it up like a Christmas tree. It was so bad. I tested positive. There's 6 categories. I tested positive for 1, multiple, or all of the markers in all 6 categories.
Wow.
And it was like, oh shit. Like I already knew I had Hashimoto's. I already knew I had bile reflux disease. I knew I had non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, and some other stuff. And I was like, Raynaud's is one of them too. But anyways, but then it was like, oh my gosh. So we started going to like doctors, and I don't want to say anything bad about them, but they have a myopic view. So you go to an endocrinologist and they care about this, you know? And then you go to a GI doctor and they care about this, but nobody sees this picture, right? So yes, I did have all these autoimmunes, and they did blame Hashimoto's, and they thought I had celiac, Crohn's disease, and it actually ended up being colitis. That's another fun autoimmune that I got, which is horrible. The symptoms for that is anything from ass to mouth. Yeah. So that's why I'm on a strict diet always, right? AIP diet all the time, because those symptoms, I mean, you're not getting a date, right? Anyway, so, but I went to all these doctors, and like some of them were accusing me of taking T3, T4 just to come in lean for show. I'm like, no, I have Hashimoto's. And they're like, no, you're doing it because you're bodybuilding. And there's like that speculation and stigma that follows us around. And I'm like, I'm in bodybuilding because of health. And it has literally saved my life because I've been on a strict bodybuilding diet, right? I would be way sicker if I wasn't. A lot sicker. But to be accused of like taking drugs when I actually had these diseases, and sure enough, yeah, it came back positive, thank you. So, there you go, buddy. But, I mean, and then they made me eat gluten for, it was a full 6 weeks, so that they could test me for celiac and Crohn's, and I didn't have either. I had colitis. It was awful. Anyway, so, but then finally my mercury poisoning came back. Yeah. I had 13 times the amount of mercury you're supposed to have in your body. And a lot of that is because of the motherfucker gene. A lot of it is because I eat a lot of fish. I was kind of more on like a pescatarian diet, because that's what I enjoy. But, yeah, 13 times. So then I go to 4 of the doctors that I was seeing. My PCP, an endocrinologist, a GI doctor, and a holistic, what do they call those doctors that...
Naturopath?
No, it was a medicine practitioner or something like that, but it's one that's supposed to see the whole body. That was a joke. But he's like, he was promising me the world. He's like, people that can't get fixed by the Mayo Clinic come to me and I fix them. And then he was like, here's the new diet and here's the new nutrition. I was like, dude, I've been doing that since April. Right. And he's like, yeah, well, just keep doing it for a couple months. You'll feel better. I'm like, okay, I'm not coming back. Which sucks. You can't get your money back for those kind of answers. Yeah. But anyway, so I went to all 4 of those doctors and said, listen, I got mercury poisoning. I was so excited to find out, because I thought I had Parkinson's, MS. I mean, I was scared, right? Yeah. And like literally going blind, like all kinds of crazy symptoms. And none of the doctors knew what to do. They all were like, well, go to a toxicologist. And I was like, okay. So I'm like literally Googling toxicologists, and they're like, yeah, we work in the ER in case you overdose on drugs. Like, it's not something that you just come in for. So then my dentist is the one that said, oh, mercury poisoning? Yep. We do drilling all the time on metal fillings. So we have our nurses go get chelation.
Yep.
There's a chelation lab downstairs. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. My dentist is gonna save my life. All right, cool. So I started doing chelation. And it's an IV treatment. You're literally sitting in chairs exactly like this.
Yeah.
And it's a drip bag for 45 minutes. And it is the worst detox ever. You're sitting next to chemo patients and they just pump drugs in you and then you filter it out through your kidneys, which they monitor your kidneys closely. And unfortunately, my kidneys actually stopped. I got to stage 3 kidney disease because of the detox. And so they stopped doing chelation on me. They're like, we can't do any more on you until you fix this. So then I tried a vegan diet. That didn't work. Oh my gosh. Because I thought the protein, you know, like I was like...
Right.
Anyways, I thought it was too much protein in my diet because I love keto. And then, so I went to vegan and I because of my colitis, it made that spin out of control. So I puked every day for 3 weeks straight because of that. So it's just, I mean, like, everything compounds each other, but unless you're monitoring your blood... they would have known about my kidney failure, right? And then through this, the silver lining, right? The only silver lining in all of this is actually a couple. I can educate people. Tony Robbins just got mercury poisoning.
Yep.
So it's a thing, right? Like it's people are like, are you still living in the 80s? Met like 3 people that actually had friends die from mercury poisoning. It didn't get caught in time.
Wow.
Met another girl who spent 5 years getting rid of mercury poisoning. So there is, like...
It's a real thing.
Yeah, it's a real thing, right? The other silver lining is, they put me on a drug called LDN. It's called low-dose naltrexone. And I'm supposed to be on, like, 20-plus pills, right, for all my autoimmunes. But if you do it with diet and you monitor your own blood, and this one drug, it's for lupus patients. I take 1 pill a day now. Just 1 pill a day. Monitor my blood through him, minimum every 3 months, right? And then we just look at what's going on in my system and then adjust accordingly. And that's, I mean, because otherwise imagine, I would be dead, right? Because they would have never found it, right? Like every doctor was myopic, like, oh, you have this, oh, you have this, oh, you're right, I do have all of those. What's the root cause? What's the actual problem? Sure enough, when you have mercury poisoning, it's in your blood. It's going through every system in your body. So I'll give some credit to the doctors because of that, right? Like, I legitimately did have everything, but at the same time, there's a root cause, there's a problem that you got to figure out. And I feel like you know your body better than anybody, and blood work is probably the best way and best indicator to figure out what's actually going on.
Yeah,
because symptoms are hard to trace down. It's like going to a mechanic. Like, no, I swear it makes this noise when you're not here. You know what I mean? It makes this noise, I promise. And
I was
they're like,
doing this the whole way over nonstop.
You know.
So now where are you at currently as far as...
I was a 4 the last
4?
time.
Yep.
The first time we got tested, I was a 129. Which, in the you're supposed to be under... 13
is kind of the range.
Yeah,
so
13
under
is
13
like...
is where you want to be.
Yeah, and so I'm a 4 right now. But here's the interesting thing about mercury poisoning is your blood wants to like regulate itself. So it starts depositing it in your cells in your systemic system. So that's why I was starting to go blind, that's why I was shaking, that's why I was like headed. I mean, it literally impacts every organ of your body is impacted because of it. And that's, I mean, okay, let's take mercury poisoning out of it. If you have toxic blood, regardless of why it's toxic, it goes through all of your systems, your brain, your kidneys, your liver, like every organ in your body needs blood to survive. And so if you, I mean, that goes back to, you know, be careful about what you're putting in your body too, you know, and monitor it closely.
Yes.
And especially if you're messing with hormones, your body's so out of whack, you know what I'm saying? So...
Yep, that's a big deal. Is it's not hard to get out of balance, which causes a lot of different problems.
Dude.
And if you're really low, you got this set of problems. If you get really high or you're just off balance, that causes problems.
If
That's
you're
why
really
the
high,
follow-up labs, the different labs that we do
Colorado joke.
are going to be able to help.
Colorado joke. I'm sorry. It is a very...
I was picking that up.
It is, but here's the thing is like, if you can't laugh at all of this, right, and like I mean, you have to have a good sense of humor about life. Otherwise, this would have killed me. This literally, not just from like an actual medical problem, but this would have been game over for just fitness in general. You know what I mean? Like, well, and my work too.
General
yeah,
work,
just
yeah,
if you don't feel good, nothing in your life is is going well.
But so a lot of people, they may not have all the symptoms and all the things that but they don't feel right. They don't feel good. They're not getting the help they want. I mean, typically I hear a lot of people coming in, they go to their primary care, and again, I'm not bashing your doctors. They are kind of hamstrung by their insurance companies, but when you go in and you're telling them your problems, and they're basically appears or it seems like they're just not even listening.
Yeah. Well, I mean, okay, so think about it. I have blood work for the last 8 years of my life, right? And it's very, very standard, right? Like, it's very consistent blood work.
Right.
I also was on less than 10 ingredients because I did an elimination diet thinking that this was all food related, right? So who can go into a doctor and be like, these are my symptoms, FYI, this is all of my supplements that I take, this is the food that I've been taking, and I don't cheat, and then when I do cheat, it's an AIP strict diet, but extra foods, right? Like cheat or refeed, whatever. And then here's all my blood work. Tell me what's wrong with me. And they still couldn't figure it out. So imagine an everyday off of the street person,
It doesn't
like
have
that is like, well, you
Never
know,
had
I
labs.
eat. Yeah, exactly. It would be. It would be very difficult. You got to take health into your own hands. Like
Absolutely.
you absolutely, and only you know your body as well as, and nobody else cares as much either. Like you are a number to that doctor.